Welcome back, students. Master Spleen in the building. So as you all know, on Saturday we will have a new community day, this time dedicated to Dusknoir. So as usual, it's going to take place from 11 your time until 5 p.m. your time. You will find down here an infographic that was made by Leak Duck. Shout out to Leak Duck. On this community day, a really beautiful shiny. So I know that most of you maybe already have this the red shiny, but for the other ones it will be the opportunity to grab the shiny. But I would like to point out the main highlight of this event being a free time catch Stardust bonus. So as you all know, Stardust is really a scarce resource in Pokemon Go, probably the most difficult one to grind. So really my advice will be just go out there, play out for the full community day under incense, try to stack some Odino or some Meows quest beforehand so that you can maximize your Stardust gain. And honestly, I guess that 1 million Stardust gain is not something that is that utopic, and I assume that some people are going to do even more than that. So Dusknoir will be also able to learn Shadow Ball as his exclusive move for this event, and we can already have a first look at the optimal PvP IVs for Dusknoir. So in the Great League it's going to be 0, 14, 13 at level 24, and for the Ultra League you will need a fully XL Dusknoir with the optimal IV of 0, 15, 15. Also keep in mind, and this is something that you are going to figure out throughout the video, honestly Dusknoir doesn't seem to be such an amazing mon, and you might be focusing more on Dusclops, as I do believe, and I think that a lot of people out there are sharing my opinion, that Dusclops is a much more interesting mon when it comes to PvP, and I personally wish that they gave Shadow Ball to Dusclops. It will have been such a monster. When it comes to Dusclops, the best IVs you can find are the 0, 11, 15 at level 45. So before looking at the matchups of those two mons in the Great League and in the Ultra League for Dusknoir, I will leave the floor to TalonFlo, our usual special guest, so that he can a bit go through the different move pool that those two mons have.
Hello Pokemon friends, it has been a while. Let's start with the moveset of Dusclops. It has Feint Attack and Hex as its quick moves. Hex is usually preferred because of its superior energy gain, but Feint Attack is a viable option in one Silph Cup because of the higher damage per turn, even if you consider Stab for Hex. Now let's look at the charge moves. Dusclops really likes punching things, with the Shadow Punch, the Fire Punch and the Ice Punch. With Hex, these punches come out rapidly and they add up damage. The Elementary Punches provide Dusclops with good coverage and a tough decision. Do you want to hit Steel types with the Fire Punch or Dragon types with the Ice Punch? Maybe both punches is the way to go, but you may need Shadow Punch for a loaded Marowak. Before you decide, please consider this. The Elementary Punches, yes, they have good coverage, but they have a low DPE value. Thus, Dusclops can't really break walls before it runs out of HP. But if you have a purified Dusclops, you can use Return, and Return has a very good damage per energy value. Also, Dusclops lacks Thunder Punch, and with double elementary punches it loses against water types. So even the normal type return can be considered coverage because it hits neutral against most water types. Yes, Shadow Punch is neutral against water too, but return still has the higher damage per energy than Shadow Punch. What I want to say, it might be worth it using a purified Dusclops with return. In fact, you should always play a purified Dusclops, even if you don't play return on it. Because if you're playing a standard Dusclops, your opponent knows your Dusclops doesn't have return and you're giving away very valuable information about your team. So please don't do that. Overall, the moveset is decent. It is versatile and has a lot of coverage, but it's not very powerful. Fortunately, Dusclops has the stats to make up for that in the Great League. Now, let's look at Dusknoir. It has Hex as well, and it will use it with the combination of the newly added Shadow Ball. Now, that's a powerful move. But the coverage options are lacking. Dusknoir has Return, Dark Pulse and Psychic. That's not really that good like Dusclops' elementary punches. Dusknoir is okay, it has okay stats and an okay moveset, but look at this. It's outclassed left and right by other ghost types, who have either Shadow Claw, which is superior to Hex, and or better stats, and coverage, like Icy Wind of Driftblim. Or just look at Cofagrigus. Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball, and better stats, and the same coverage, except Dusknoir has Return. But now look at Sableye. Sableye has Shadow Claw and Return, the very similar stats, and better typing, and the ability to shut down any opposing ghost type. This is why I think Dusknoir will be left forgotten in the long run. It's not bad, but highly outclassed.
Thank you, TalonFlo. And just a quick precision. Unfortunately, Dusknoir cannot learn Return for the Great League because Return Mon is going to be a level 25 Mon, and unfortunately Dusknoir will go above 1500 if it's a purified one. That being said, let's focus now on the different matchups, and we are going to see, as TalonFlo said, and as I was saying in introduction, that Dusknoir frankly doesn't look that great in the Great League. Yes, you are going to beat Cofagrigus if you have a high stat product one, Cress, but you are doing what other ghost types are able to do, but the other ghost types usually pick more matchups in the meta. So the only matchup that I think it's interesting to highlight is maybe the G-Fisk one, that you can pick even if it's an IV dependent one. Cresselia as well is an IV dependent one, meaning that if the Cress is a good IV one, you will lose the matchup, and you should anyway try to look for a good PvP IV Dusknoir just in case, because you pick 4 additional matchups. So Cofagrigus, already mentioned that, Galv, Shadow Machine and Registeel. So this is quite huge. I do believe that Dusknoir has a bit more play in the Ultra, doing what ghost types usually do in the Ultra League. But even like that, frankly, because you need to fully excel the Dusknoir, I think that you have If you want to go fully XL, I think that you have better options, such as, for example, a Driftblim, because you add that icy wind cover. And if you don't want to spend $500,000 dust to build a Dusknoir, frankly, just go with a Gengar. You will probably have almost the same results. So here you see basically you can beat like some of the steel types. You beat the fighters, you beat the psychic types, you beat the Dragonite, which is nice, and two IV dependent matchups here, Jellicent. So basically here if you face a fully Jellicent XL, the Jellicent will flip the matchup, but if you are facing, let's say, a non-optimal one, like a lucky 14-14-14 or something like that, Dusknoir is able to flip this matchup, double Dark Pulse. When it comes to the Magnezone, here is a bit tricky, but let's say that if the Magnezone is running super good PvP IVs, then you can flip the matchups. What about Dusclops? And trust me, I'm much more hype about Dusclops. Really like the mon. It's a super tanky mon, and really interesting when it comes to restricted metas, because it's can be a very spammy mon. So really hype about Dusclops. And as you can see directly in the Great League, you have a much more matchups that you are going to pick. So I run some different sims on the different moveset that you could run with Dusclops. Sorry for my eye. And you could run it with Fire Punch, Ice Punch. You could run it with Shadow Punch Return, or you could run it with Fire Punch Return. So, my opinion for the Great League, and I'm not talking about restricted metas, but the Fire Punch Return variant is a bit better. You pick up some more matchup, but if you decide to go with Ice Punch, depending on what your team needs, for example, with Ice Punch, you will be able to take Altaria, you will be able to have like extra cover against the flyers, and like something that is supposed to hold you like a Mandibuzz, then you have a bit of play with Ice Punch. Here, as you can see, some really nice matchups. You beat the steel types with the Fire Punch. You beat the grass types. Even if you do need a good PvP IV Dusclops if you wanna pick up the Tropius matchup, and as well if you wanna pick up the Mew, you need a good PvP IV, especially because you are not carrying Shadow Punch. Otherwise, it will be an easy matchup for you. And three IV dependent matchups. Those are the Azumarill, fully XL Azumarill, flip the matchup. Honestly, I don't think it's a favorable matchup for Dusclops, a matchup where you need to bait with the Fire Punch to land the return. I mean, if your opponent knows that's your win con, they probably don't shield the first one and tank the return, and he might be able still to win the matchup. You can beat the Hunter. If the Hunter is a very good stat product, you can flip this matchup, and against the Meganium high stat product, Meganium can flip the matchup. You could also use the Shadow Dusclops, and for those who played the regionals in Sylph, if you remember, that was very good save swap, super spammy. At the time, I think that the best moveset was Ice Punch, Shadow Punch, if I'm correct. But here, just quick sims using both Elemental Punch, so Fire Punch and Ice Punch, to have like some cover. And as you can see, you are going to pick up matchups that you don't pick up with the regular variant. Sometimes because you are a bit lacking some raw power that the shadow bonus adds up. Things like Meganium that you are struggling with the purified one, or Tropius. Things like Skarm where then the Fire Punch KOs, unless unlike the return one, you can pick Stun Fisk, the U Fisk, and actually the G Fisk is a very close matchup, and you can pick the Frostlass, but it's an IV dependent matchup. If Frostlass is running super good PvP IVs, it can still flip the matchup, and obviously you pick up some matchup, but you are going to lose some, and here this is Cress, Golf, Shadow Hypno, Mew, Shadow Queen, Alolan Ninetales, and Scrafty, because yes, the return Dusclops, if you land the return, you can flip the Scrafty matchup, and it's a bit like Sableye in a way. So really return powerful move, and I'm going to leave the floor now to analyze a bit more the role of Dusclops in Sylph metas.
Decent as it is, Dusclops has decent usage in past Sylph Cups. It's especially good in cups without dark types, like the first Sinister Cup and the Venture Cup, and point-based formats, like the Venture Cup again. I won't show the history of Dusknoir because it just sucked in the past, but in the future I think we may see some usage in point-based formats or restriction-based metas. If other ghost types receive artificial restrictions, Dusknoir might be viable. There is one more special format I want to talk about, the main series cup. This format is special. You play Great League with Team Preview. So far, so normal. But every Pokemon has their moveset from the main series, which means every move they can learn in the main series, they can learn here as well. So every Pokemon has a very, very big move pool. Obviously, you can't play it with the official Pokemon Go app. You can only play it with a website that I'm developing with some other battlers and girls.pvp, which is why I marked this as a product placement, even though I'm not paid, and this is still part of the analysis.
So thanks TalonFlo for that, and just a quick heads up, because we are really here at the Academy supporting the project Grookey. So for those who are not familiar, I really advise you to try to dig up a bit on social media, on internet, about this project. We will come back to that later in a video, but because of that, I'm going to give the floor one last time to TalonFlo, so that he could present a bit how Dusclops could shine in a Project Grookey meta.
Unfortunately, Dusclops can't get Shadow Claw, but it received Counter, which is one of the best quick moves in the entire game, and it gives it a unique niche. Also, Dusclops receives a lot of charge moves. Instead of Ice Punch, you have the much better Icy Wind. Also, you can outspam your opponent with Body Slam. You can raise your attack with Power Up Punch. You can nuke your opponent with Shadow Ball or Earthquake, and you can mess up Umbreon with Dynamic Punch. Although Counter and Power Up Punch is already enough to beat Umbreon. Yes, I'm serious, Dusclops beats Umbreon. Oh, and of course there's Rock Slide, Thunder Punch, and there's still Fire Punch. The meta isn't very well explored yet. However, Dusclops looks very powerful, but there are other very good ghost types. In fact, I think Ghost is one of the most powerful types in this meta because of the widespread Shadow Claw. I already used Runerigus, Giratina Altered, Honedge and Dowblade. And by the way, there's a good reason why I've banned Aegislash. There's already a countermeasure with Mandibuzz as the prime ghost killer. And there's Carmery, a Pokemon that is on my suspect list for bans, and Skarmory beats Dusclops with a Night Slash Assault. Dusclops can't win even with Thunder or Fire Punch. I'm not sure how the meta will end up, but I have high hopes for Dusclops. Being a pure ghost type with counter and those coverage options is a unique and powerful niche. If you want to try out Dusclops or any Pokemon in the main series cup, just hit me up, write me, and you can join Project Rookie and help us finish the website. By the way, we always appreciate new developers. We are mainly working with TypeScript, React, Redis and Firestore. Okay, I'm done. I leave the rest of the video to Sergio for the final words.
Thank you, TalonFlo, and it's time to conclude our extensive video, but frankly there are so much to talk about when we are speaking about Dusclops. So first of all, our basic recommendation from the Academy. First one, and more important one, battlers out there, take advantage of the free time, catch Stardust. Stardust is really hard to stack, so really go out there, grind for the 6 hour, just take the small break obviously, but try to prepare in advance for that. I mean, there are Odino quests right now. Odino, free time catch Stardust plus a star piece. We are talking almost about 10,000 Stardust for 1 month. So this is those kind of things. I mean, we should have as well still Meow's quest out there. So same, we are talking about almost 2,000 Stardust per catch. So those are huge tips for you to maximize your gains. Second, really focus on Dusclops, trying to find a good PvP IV1 in Rocket Stops. I do hope that Niantic is going to put only Dusclops in Rocket Grunt throughout the event. Really do hope they do that, especially because you want the return and then you don't care about frustration that much. And try to grab some XL candies as well. I will also recommend to evolve one Dusknoir for Great and for Ultra, just in case. I mean, Dusknoir, as TalonFlo mentioned as well, could be interesting in some restricted formats, in some point-based formats, in some drafts if you are doing that kind of challenges. And for more advanced and hardcore players, it's going to be simple. Man, it's such a XL grind for you. Just try to grind for Ultra League Dusknoir, so that's 296 XL candies. Grind for a Great League Return Dusclops, that's around 100 XL candies. And grind for a Shadow XL Dusclops for Great League, and this is around 140, 150 XL candies. So we are talking about a total of 540, 550 XL candies. So man, that's a huge ground, and good luck for that. So I do hope you like that content. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment under the video, and I wish you a lot of Stardust this weekend. Bye, students.